What up, y'all?
What's going on?
Don't mind me for a quick second. You know I'm always doing something. What's up with y'all, though?
What's going on? A little bit of a delayed start here, but
Yeah,
they're late than others, I say.
yeah, that was on me a little bit. Hold on one second. Don't nobody mind me.
Um,
Bam. What's good, fellas?
we see your mobile right now, which we expected, but that's all good.
How's my lighting and everything good?
It's definitely better than when you're at home. So I guess if that's the thing, you should stay mobile, like as you are now.
Fellas, we
What's
got
good, man?
we got to do better.
Yeah,
It's real talk. We've always kept it real, but we got to do better. We
yeah.
got to do better, man. Like I don't know about you, Mike. I don't know about you, Charles, but people was reaching out and they asking me, and I can't say that because I don't really know what to say. I'm like, I don't know what to say. But what I do want to say to everybody that's paying attention and watching us is we got to do better. It's just that simple. Um, and I ain't scolding us this time. I'm not scolding everybody. We got to do better. We got to do better. We're three moving parts of one entity, and I don't want people to think when they watch that we don't take this serious because we do. Everybody you see in front of you puts a lot of time into this, and I want to say that. But I also want to say that it's a commitment, and everybody, basically Charles works at night, so when he's doing this, it's a sacrifice to him. And when Mike is not doing what he does, it's a sacrifice for him. I've got more flexibility in the evenings, so it really hasn't been as much of a sacrifice. But I don't want the people who are watching us to think that we're not being responsible and accountable to them because it's their time also. So we got to do better. That's all.
True indeed. True indeed.
Yeah.
So what's good, though, fellas?
Well, we got a few topics that we were planning to discuss today. We put up on the board. I'll just raise the topics here. It's not limited to, but inclusive of. But one of them was, oh shoot, can I do this right? One of them was, let me make sure I'm looking at this right. Okay. Um, Kind of back to the Ukraine, but not just on the topic of war and whatever else, but it's the racism. Well, actually, two-part question: racism in Ukraine, and as in looking at it from a perspective of melanated people, black people, do we need to even be concerned with that? Is it even our concern, or other than it affecting the economy and the price at the gas pump and the grocery store, like what's are we in the fight? Are we in the discussion? Are we even in the discussion, really? And so, and then there's obviously some things we've all seen. Well, take that back. Not that we've all seen. There have been some um, pictures and web pages and blogs and different things of what appears to be racism going on out in the Ukraine, having to do with like I'll say Africans and or other melanated people. Some just weird things. Um, and then just the combination of everything, inflation, the impact of still COVID on top of inflation, the economy, just what we're dealing with from day to day. And last but not least, and not last but not least, but not again, we can always expand on other topics, is the whole Biden or the whole Biden issue. I mean, he's evidently the president in charge dealing with our international issues. Some people are really disappointed with his performance so far. Okay? Some people expected it to be like that. Those people who rolled with Trump, kind of saw like his non-action or inept action. And so, is the problem is he a bigger problem than Trump is or ever was, kind of thing. So those are just some of the topics we were going to touch on today, and kind of get everybody's input and vibe related to that. So let's take it from the top. Oh wait, I
Yeah.
don't know if I like the this one.
You want this one?
Yeah, kind of feel a little more. I feel like we and everybody's like we right up there. I
You
guess.
know,
Or we can spotlight whichever.
there we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So fire away, anybody, unless y'all
Well,
want.
what were you looking at? The videos where they were? It seemed like they were not letting the Africans first or whatever
Yeah,
get on the train, and the different women. Those type of videos you talking about that were circulating.
I didn't read up on any of that. I just saw the pictures themselves. I know we exchanged some videos, I think, in our own chats that kind of depicted that. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why. I think there were students. I don't even know what's going on out in Ukraine, or even why they're out there. Like, I don't know who's out in Ukraine and stuff. But I think was it students, Deb, or what? Who was it just everybody? Like,
It was students, it was Indian, it was people from India, it was people from Asia. And I just think that, I listened to a Clubhouse room. They had a room on it a few days ago. And the thing I thought some of the people in that Clubhouse was forgetting is that we are global people. Like, we're everywhere. Like, our our people, black people, melanin, we're everywhere. We're everywhere in the world. I mean, Charles has traveled the world more than anybody. Um, what you think, Charles? Are we everywhere? I mean,
Z, he was asking you.
I
Uh,
think your headset went out. Well, when Charles comes back, we can't hear you, but once you adjust it,
no.
the thing cancels on you.
Hello.
Oh, there you
Oh,
go.
All right. Hold on a minute.
so can you hear Z?
Yo, not you know what it is? It's the Bluetooth is picking up on both things. That's why it's switching. I got it. That's why.
From
I got to take it off of my phone because it switches back between my phone and to the thing. Now say that again.
No, I just, I had said that you're probably the most traveled person I know. I mean, literally. And I had said prior to that, in that clubhouse room, it was like people forget that we're all over the world. So it wasn't a surprise to me to see, students from Nigeria trying to get out of a country that was about to face war. But sometimes when I hear people talk, it's almost like they're like, why are they in Ukraine? And I'm like, why are we anywhere? Like, it's not like we can't get to anywhere. I mean, and wherever you are in the world, you're gonna find everybody. You're gonna find Asian people, Indian people, black people. So I was asking you, if you pretty much agreed on that because you've seen more of the world, um, physically been to more spaces than most people that I know, as far as black people or melanated people being all over the world.
Yeah, honestly, man, I've never nowhere I've been, man, have I ever felt like they were really racist towards me because I was black. I felt like really wasn't fond of the French, but I thought it was just more from a place of arrogance than it was from like black. I think it was like more of a you're not better than America's not better than us type
Mhm.
attitude. It seemed like more than it was like racial. But I don't even it's like how much do I put into the racism of like what Mike was saying with the Ukraine? It's like to me, it's like, yo, man, they Ukrainians. They gonna help Ukrainians first. They Polish. They gonna let people in that look like them and stuff first, man. Like, that's the story no matter where it is, man, with all type of people, man. It's like we just, it's like it's almost like we're conditioned to feel bad about like helping our own first. And like I like yo, to me that's to be expected, man. Yo, they gonna help their own people first, man, and I guess it could come off looking kind of racist, but I mean, I don't really know the environment and the culture set over there as far as how they perceive racism, whether the liberal mindedness of people over there. I did work with a guy that from the Ukraine. He was mad cool, liked him a lot. Very very cool dude. We talked a lot about different things, about his country and everything. He'd been over there a while, but still had a heavy accent and everything. But I don't know, man. Whether how much racism or just like yo, they just look out for their people first, man. And I think we need to do that more. Honestly, I think that's one of the things that suffer with us. I think we're almost made sometime conditioned to feel like almost bad about doing it. It's almost like having the black boss that don't want to let look out, so to speak, for the black people because of how it may look. But they doing that all the time at the job, looking out for their own. I think that we the only ones that have been kind of conditioned to make it seem like something like that is wrong. But I
You don't
don't know, man.
think we're like a lot of different scenarios into this one? And the reason I'm asking is because, I mean, for those students, they had waited like 9 hours to get to where they were. And then they were like straight up disrespected. And then some of the people that was actually saying things to them were coming off and were saying things that were racially motivated. And we can't act like in Europe and like Germany and places like that, like they don't have racism. I mean, they do have it. You know what I mean? And they have a lot of people over there that move in, and they have it amongst themselves to some degree. So it really depends on how they look at us. But I don't know. I mean, I understand like doing for self. I understand like doing things for your people. But I mean, where's that thin line though? If people wait on a line to get out of a country that's about to go to war, and then they're called out of their names. A lot of the women that was on the trains was disrespecting the Nigerians. Or well, I don't even know if they were Nigerian on the train, but on the train in particular. But I do know it was Nigerians that was trying to get out of the country when the president had to call. It's a lot of different incidents. So you don't think it's sort of like pulling, different variables into this one situation, Charles?
What I mean, yo, ain't no question. I think racism exists, right?
Mm-hmm.
100%. Like I think it exists. There's no doubt, and I ain't no question that I believe a lot of stuff that you see is going to be racially motivated. I mean, it's just something that it's easy to be that way for them, in that situation. But I'm saying like in the whole, I don't know if I'm not really saying that there's no racism involved. It's like in a situation like that, it's almost to be expected. Like that's what it was going to be. But but here's what I'm gonna say, because it's hard to really like go like too further into it, because I don't really know what the immigration climate is in Ukraine like that. And I don't really know what the climate has been. Like I've never heard of Ukrainian people having a problem with, like, shit, it actually shocked me that it was that many Africans over there. You know what I'm saying? So like I wasn't really aware, or I've never heard, or you know any real information about Africans living in the Ukraine, or what type of treatment they were subjected to prior to, like, is this like, were they always being discriminated against over there and now it's just coming to light when we see this, or is the situation dictating what we're seeing now? It's hard to say, because I'm really, like, being honest, man, I wasn't really aware of the immigration or what type of issues they have with immigration also over there.
Great
So
point.
I was, I was gonna say to the point you made. It's like if you're talking about, I'm trying to find like a good comparison. Like people always gonna do certain things for their own. Like I don't know, if you're in a Italian neighborhood or something, like I don't know, maybe you go do something, get some food, and maybe they hook you up with a little extra something, like I don't know, whatever you buying or something like that. But like this is a situation where like people are escaping for their lives and stuff, right? So they're like getting on trains. It's like an emergency type situation, and we don't know, because we only saw like screenshots and little video here and there. Like we don't know exactly what the full situation was, but the visual was. It's like, oh, actually, I don't even know. Actually, let me take that back, because I personally didn't see the whole thing, but the visual was like you're not getting on this train because you're black, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So that's like what I mean. That's not somebody looking out for their own a little bit more. It's like that's like hard, like that's racist stuff, like to its core, kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, it's not. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you're doing a little favor or something. That's like you're not going to escape because you know you're not here. You're not of us. You know that. So for that, I mean, that's is
Yeah,
that what you expect to be anywhere, kind of thing? Like that's what you expect to be.
I mean, I expect that if uh if it comes down to someone else and me that don't look like me, that they're gonna probably favor the person that looks like them. I think humans are gonna definitely try to do that. Like now, like I said, I like yo denying the black lady. I seen one of the videos too. It definitely is something that to the optics it looks crazy, but like I said, I mean, how many black people are escaping? How many black people escaped? Was this is like what I'm saying is trying to put it in the perspective of, is it like, do they have a racial problem with African immigrants over there? Was this something that was already like high tensions or whatever? Or is this like, some jerk on the train with some isolated incident where, not isolated meaning it only happened to one person, but this is not really the norm of them like barring them to escape and everything. You know what I'm saying? It's just a matter, so that's what I'm saying, like how to really perceive it. But as far as to what you were saying is, yeah, man, I think that especially in survival mode, especially like you actually said the opposite. You was like, yo, well, but this is people fleeing for their lives, and you kind of acting like that. That's where you definitely liable to see it. Like, yo, we in survival mode. Like, so so that's really coming out. It's like, yo, I got one life jacket, and I got my kid in the water, and I got a stranger in the water, man. No, probably not gonna make it out that water, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, it's just the reality of human nature,
Nah,
man.
but that's a little different still. Like I'm talking about, like, look, you on a train or you in the boat and you looking in the water, and there's a white person, there's a black person, and then you got to extend your hand out. Like that, you know what I'm saying? Like that's more.
Or am I looking at it like it's a countryman versus a non-countryman also? You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I don't know. Like,
Yeah, I
it's all
mean,
I'm guessing. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I'm not even against any of that, and I mean, I could see both sides. I mean, I could see what you're saying, but I guess for the clips that I saw and the things that I read, it definitely, I can't honestly say I have anything to say to your point that it's just this overall environment where it's just like this all this racial tension and stuff like that. But what I will say is like what is it, Charles Degata, I believe it is. Um, he made a statement. Uh, Ukraine is not like Afghanistan and Iraq, and he caught a lot of mess from it, and that was in the Guardian. And then there was another journalist on ITV TV or something like that. He was saying, what did he say? He said something like, "This isn't a third world nation, this is Europe." So if that's not to some degree speaking uh, for the overall sentiment, I don't know. You know, personally, I don't. My belief systems and the way I'm taught is that no matter where we are, you know, there's going to be some people that just are not going to like us because we are. You know what I mean? So, you know, but to your point, you know, I can definitely understand there might be a big difference between, you know, being in parts of Europe where they will chase you down on the streets and try to kill you because you're black, and that still happens. Um, versus being in a place that, you know, as they say, it's Europe and it's not a third world nation. So I guess they have, I'm not gonna say an elitist perspective, but I don't know, man. I don't know. The stuff that I saw though, I do want to say this. I felt as though it was racially motivated. So even if they were incidents, to me they were racially motivated. Um, and to your point, maybe you know, maybe it is, you know, country people first or whatever. But I'm like, I don't know, people like that. I don't know, man. It's like I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I'm just when I think about our people, it's like every time something happens around the world, we start infighting about what's happening. Or every time something happens here, we're infighting. And I'm like, yo, it's not, it doesn't make us a victim if we're victimized. It doesn't make us, you know, people are trying to make us to be a certain way sometimes, and that's what we see. But I don't know, man. To me, there was some racial components to it, and I could be wrong, but to me, there was, you know.
I only saw like a clip of the video. Was there anything that went into a little more detail, or was there any more like audio around like the conversation, like what was actually happening? Because again, we just looked at the visual, and the visual seemed as if it was like racist. So I
I
don't
can
know if
pull
you
up the Guardian, and I can just pull up the articles that I read that were pretty much describing some of those situations, but or send them to you all. But even with that, the way it was defined based on the people who were there, even if that wasn't the case, apparently that's what they felt. And then going back to what Charles said a little while ago, you know, maybe everything doesn't boil down to just because it's happening, it's not racial, you know. But I think it's just it's a tricky slope, especially right now with the current state of the country and the current state of the world. You know, there's a lot of emboldened people. There's a lot of people that are outwardly like, you know, yeah, you know, the hell with you. And we've seen it. We've seen it in this country. We've seen it in Charlottesville and all these other places. We see it. So I'm not. I would err more on the side that you know there was something other than just trying to get out of the. I don't know. I don't know. But I look at things like that anyway. Just being honest, you know. I'm not really. I don't really trip when people show that they're racist or outwardly racist, as I say. You know what I mean? Because we all, to a degree, might have prejudice, but the outward racist is just that. Yeah, I don't like you because. Versus subconscious things that some people might be thinking or their experiences are making them act a certain way, but they really don't have an issue per se with people from other ethnicities. They just have tendencies overall, whether they're developed over time or um, subconscious. You know, so
um, that's actually I don't know if you guys are um, ready for it, but it's actually a good point to make a good segue. And Marlon Hirschman put up oh, I was going to say if you can go right back to that comment. Somebody squished it. Marlon put up a comment that says, "Hey Mike, I saw the video clip of posted concerned asking the Ukraine expert about the conflict war. Did you go to DC just for that? It was very informative. Thanks, I appreciate that. I actually did not go there just for that. I found out that well, actually, let me correct that. We actually, the three of us had a conversation prior to that, and we because we were all kind of almost like the same way that the COVID stuff came up. Like we were all kind of looking for answers surrounding it. We knew that this was something kind of boiling up, and we were very curious about it. And I found myself curious about it as well. And I was in the D.C. area and found out that the rally was going on. So I made a point to make my way over to that. And started speaking with somebody just personally to find out about it, and then decided to interview him for this. So it was kind of decided halfway through, I guess is a fair way to say it. Um, but yeah, I found it really interesting because actually, again, I only a video. I interviewed one person on camera and another person off camera, and it was very interesting to hear that because a lot of what we thought we were hearing about it in the news, they kind of confirmed that it was more real than I thought it was. My first impression was is that it was a lot of kind of media hype or hype coming from the White House and things like that. But they had kind of given me more of the history and said that it was something that had been going on for a long period of time, and that they felt very threatened because they had a lot of family members who were dealing with it like, from day to day. The Segway guys is what I was talking about. I was about to mention was one of the other topics that we kind of had tied to that was that people of color, melanated black people, should we even be concerned with this, right? So, and I'll kind of add this in there, and I don't know if it's right or wrong to say or whatever. It was I kind of think I might have interjected that question, although I excuse me, although I was very interested in finding out about it, just for for whatever reason, interest is there. Um, there was a very large rally that was hitting the news media and everything like that. And I kind of felt like I needed to like kind of dip in and get my information and kind of leave out of there as well. Like, and I don't know, that could have been just my own opinion and feeling. But then while I was there, I kind of felt like this wasn't my thing. And so that's kind of, I think, what kind of initially spurred the conversation was: is this something even that's we should even be concerned about, or is it you know does it really relate to us, or are we concerned about it just for the financial reason, how it affects the economy, inflation, gas prices, and everything like that, or and culturally are we just disconnected from it, right? Because the feeling, the sentiment could often be, we can have a whole bunch of issues going on within the black community or any community with people of color, and everyone else could be like whatever, like you guys are bringing up race and stuff where it really doesn't exist. So we throw that out there to y'all, see what your feedback is on that. Well, anybody online, anybody who's listening in on Facebook, you can chime in, give your thoughts, and I'm throwing it back to Charles and Devon as well.
Well, I think is also like you said though. It depends on the perspective. When you ask that question, it's kind of like which perspective you're looking at it. Are you looking at it from a perspective of does it affect you as an American, and how American, like you spoke to like the economy or whatever, how you'll be affected from that standpoint as far as an American, or if you're looking at it through the lens of how are you from like just a black person in the world. You know what I'm saying?
Let me let you
Like
not jump
you know
around
what
it.
I'm
Let me go
saying?
right at you and just say how you look at it. How do you look at it? So,
Well, I'm saying it's kind of hard not to look at it both ways because obviously anything, whether you like it or not, I mean, anything that affects America is going to affect people that live in America, which happens to be us. You know what I'm saying? So obviously you gotta, like I don't agree with the American government with a lot of things that they do. I would say that a lot of us don't. You know what I'm saying? We just had a big thing with, vaccinations. That was a big thing that people don't agree with the government with. But still don't want nobody shooting nuclear missiles into my freaking New York City though. You know what I'm saying? Even though I got a disagreement with the government. So that's what it's like, from American perspective, it's like, obviously you have to have some type of concerns, but from a just a black man living in the world, you almost feel like any issue with white people don't concern you. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, that's them over there, or that, it's them killing each other. The same thing they say about us. We do it in the projects. Y'all running tanks at each other. You're damn near the same people. You driving over cars with tanks and shit. You know what I'm saying? So from that perspective, yeah, it's easy to be like, yo, that's on them. I'm not Ukrainian. I'm not white. I'm not in Europe. I'm not a Russian. And I don't got no tank in front of my door right now. So it's like, yeah, handle that the way we've been basically told to handle everything that's happened to us. So you definitely could feel like that from a black, from a just a black person in this world. But like I said, the flip side of that is you're a black person living in America right now, man. So whatever happens to America is going to happen to you to some degree, So can't just totally not be concerned, I don't think.
I do know. I'm with you on that. I look at it this way. To your point a second ago, anything that really happens around the world is going to affect us in some way, shape, or form. Um, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just tonight. I'm struggling, man. I ain't gonna tell you no lie. I'm struggling with all of this. When I think about the whole week that just passed, and I think about some of the things that I heard on Clubhouse, and some of the things that I read on like even my Instagram posts, it sort of disturbs me in some ways. In this light, if we're gonna talk about what goes on around the world, and every time we look at something that's happening around the world, it's like we start infighting. We're never going to win. And some people were saying the same thing, like, well, is this something that we should be concerned about? Some people are saying the Nigerians ain't our people. Some people are saying, Africa's fighting itself and all this other stuff. And I'm like, yeah, colonization and racism is what started damn near all of this. I mean, as far as the way we know it now. So you're gonna have these different things, but it's sort of like for me and from my teachings and from the elders and from the scholars that I've learned from, it's sort of like now I'm starting to see why so many of the elders and the scholars are getting quiet, because it's like everything that could unify us, we fight against. When something else happens, we fight ourselves. And I would say to anybody that's paying attention to the Ukraine, you better pay attention to what's going on with that, because if you look at what's happening with these allies, if you look at what's happening with China and Russia right now, they're getting tighter. They're getting tighter. And it's really a marriage of convenience, as one article was written was saying. But the way I look at it is, if China's going at Taiwan, and then as far as Africa goes, you have the African Union, which is for the longest time they've been trying to sort of unify that country. And every time they do it, some type of war breaks out or something stupid. Leaders get murdered and killed and all that other stuff. And we're not understanding that, like, these individuals, who you think they're gonna go after next? I did one of Charles's moves the other day. I looked up the NATO countries, and I didn't know the NATO countries. It's just not my thing. And you know, there's a lot that can happen um, if the Ukraine does become a part of NATO, and then ultimately now you have like a Bay of Pigs type of situation where, with Cuba, they were sending those missiles down to Cuba back under Kennedy's regime, and we were on the brink of nuclear war, because America was like, you're not going to put nuclear weapons 90 miles away from our coast. And now you look at what's happening with the Ukraine. Why do you think that they're fighting you? I want to go back to what Kevin said, and then we can bring Black Wisdom's comment back up. And I want to read it. He said, Ukraine has spent a number of years to become a full member of the EU. However, they are not there. Even though the people of the Ukraine identify themselves as Ukrainian, but their entrenched beliefs are Russian. Those generations are still alive and do influence the culture and society as a whole. Russian views or practice break down to who are ethnic or non-ethnic. So they already have this ethnicity thing amongst themselves. And then where do we fit in? You ain't gonna tell me they're not gonna put you on the pedestal or anything like that, even though we just need to do a better job of tending to what works for us. And that's all I was gonna say. Because people don't think that a nuclear war can happen. Listen, if you got a knucklehead in office and he has nuclear capabilities, nuclear war can happen. How does that tie to us? We just trying to live our day to day and we trying to stay out the way. All of this stuff affects us. Everything that's happening with the gas prices, the food shortages, all of this stuff, and all of this stuff is directly linked to what's happening around the world. But we infighting amongst ourselves. That's all I want to say, man. I don't get it. I don't get it. That's all. I think colonization and colonized minds are like just the illest thing ever to happen to our people. Racism is one of the worst. But then you got black people who really believe they white people or European people, or they take on different cultures' negative perceptions of us, and then they go on and doing negative dirt and stuff like that. Yeah, we got a long road to cover. We got a long road to cover.
Mhm.
Yeah, it might be trying to put back together, a nice little Soviet empire, man. And it's like, yo, it's crazy when you look at it from an independent standpoint. Obviously, you got like separatist states, that are allied to Russia in the Ukraine, and then obviously you got the people that want their independence and freedom. And then you got a man sitting in Russia that wants his empire and Soviet Union back together. So it's like it's just crazy. It's just crazy. Like when you think about it, it's like you want these people to have their independence, but then it's like if you're looking at it, if he's viewing it from a point that like, yo, this was once all ours. Like, it's like kind of like you were saying with China and Taiwan and Hong Kong at the time. It's like, we look y'all looking at it like, yo, we invading free countries, and we looking at it like, yo, those was all countries. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, what you mean? Those was ours. And now, and then, wars and different things, and it separates it, and then you make, like you make it seem like China, and I'm not even offering opinion of right or wrong. I'm just saying like China wanted Hong Kong back. China wants Taiwan or whatever, right? And it's like, you look at them like they the bad guy, but I mean, like, yo, we got the Virgin Islands. Like, what if they want to be free? You got Puerto Rico, that's Commonwealth. But then, you got people in jail from Puerto Rico from the 70s still that was fighting for 70s and 80s, fighting for Puerto Rican independence, like, but we still basically own them. We still own islands. We still own Guam. So, like, it's kind of whack in the sense, like, yeah, Taiwan, Hong Kong, all of them people, they want to be free, and then it's just the other side of that is like, yo, this was our land, this was our area, man, and y'all separated it, and we want it back.
From China's point of view, you're saying.
From the other point of view, it's like, yo, this was all ours, we want it back. It's just like, it's just like if America, it's the same concept. Like, yeah, these people are living independent and free now. So it's like, you always gonna look like the bad guy when you take away somebody's independence and freedom. But from their perspective, they also looking at it like, yo, this was our stuff, man, and it was taken from us originally. You know what I'm saying? Or divvied up away from us. It was broken down from us, and we putting it back together. We taking it back. So obviously, that's a conflict.
What little bit I heard of, well, Russia's motivation with invading Ukraine was not to, I heard Ukraine was, teetering on trying to become part of NATO and all this other stuff. And the last thing like Russia wants, well, you already have NATO countries that are kind of surrounding on the other side of Ukraine. But the last thing Russia wants is some coalition parking, themselves right at the doorstep, like directly on Russia. And I was thinking about it again from the flip side of things, like let somebody let Russia or China or something like that cozy up to, now this wouldn't happen, but cozy up to like Canada or something like that, and let them have some sort of agreement and let somebody park right off of North America, like on the Canadian side, and you find America like invading with. Now that's probably, I don't know if it's horrible to say whatever, but invading like Canada type stuff, because you're not gonna have some
Yeah.
situation
Well, you
like
know
that.
what it
That's what
does though.
The Cuban Missile Crisis was related to that, right? I mean, that was Russia coming too closely, to the backyard and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
But it extends their border. Like if you look at Belarus is an ally with Russia. They I think they joined the invasion. And you look at Ukraine. So like okay, so they basically coming in through the eastern side of the country. You know what I'm saying? But now if you go to the far west of the country, like look at it like going from New York to California, you extend and Russia, they already allied, like I said, with Belarus. You take over the Ukraine, yo, you're pushing your Russian border basically now right to the edge of Europe. I mean, how people is Russia, all of that over there. Because right after you get past the other side of that, that's where you starting to get into Poland and up north, where like you got Finland and Sweden and all of that. You start coming down south, but you're pushing. You got like Hungary and all of that. Like I think Romania and all
look
that.
at Charles
But you push it
calling out
right.
all the countries that not none of us know none of that geography.
Yeah, well,
It's
I mean, but
on the
you
other side
pushing
of the
your
track.
border
Right.
right to the
Sorry.
edge of Europe. Like, because when we think of Europe, you don't think of like, you think of like Italy, France, Portugal, England. Those are what you think of when you think of European countries, really. Maybe you'll throw the Germanys and the Finlands and all of that. But for the most part, you think of those major countries right there. But if you start going to the outskirts of it, if you look on the globe, man, you're starting to push your border. You're starting to push Russian control of land and territory. You're starting to push that border right up on the edge of what we really look at as being Europe. You know what I mean? So got to be some type of strategicness, and that also I would imagine. And I think then yeah, now you talking about possibly a crazy type war because that's where NATO's gonna protect. They basically gonna protect Europe. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. Maybe that's a whole strategy in and of itself there to push that Russian troops and that border closer to Europe, man. Who knows what this guy got in mind?
Let
Every
me see.
so this might be our generation's madman, kid.
Um, so, well, I mean, yeah, I mean, is he a madman, or is he just trying to get back to where he was before? And does that make him mad? Like you said, like with the bringing the trying to get the Soviet Union back together.
Well, I mean, and then it's gonna always be promoted like it's madness. I'm just giving, like I'm not really for or against on one side. I'm just like giving like devil's advocate stuff tonight, I guess. But so of course it's gonna be told that it's crazy because you don't want, I mean, you don't want that thing, but I don't know, man. I don't know what the end game is. I don't know. But that man is he ready. He like, yo, listen, I'll shoot these nuclear weapons off, man. I don't care. I'm either getting mine back or it's all over with.
That
So
that
that shit
that
is
tough
crazy.
talk does get a little scary. Like even Trump started throwing that around a little bit, right? But it's like and he was like tweeting stuff like that, right? But it gets a little crazy like when you hear people like casually like throwing that conversation around. It's I was thinking the other day too, like and so like somebody was talking about I don't know it may have been I don't know who mentioned it years ago and stuff like that, but I mean you think of like think of just like the I don't know whatever that book is, the Art of War, and just battle and fighting and stuff, just in general. Like so I brought this conversation up a while ago. Like how crazy. Let me pick my words carefully. I'm bringing up. I'm thinking of like when when the U.S. dropped the bomb on Japan, like Hiroshima and Nagasaki and stuff like that. Like when there's a government like making a decision to like drop a bomb. Now, that was an atomic bomb. It wasn't a nuclear bomb, but it killed like hundreds of thousands of people and went on killing them for like years to come forward. Like I was thinking of the mentality it even took to like, even start a project. Like, can you imagine like people sitting in a room just like, let's all right, so they made nuclear. Maybe start off like I did, like we can create a power like nuclear power plants in order to generate energy. They're like, all right, let's create a weapon out of it that's gonna like destroy essentially millions. Like, what kind of like I was just thinking about that for a second. I was like, it's crazy. Like we think about it and it's like a behind way back in the head like fear because of course as long as people have them, not people, countries have them, it's supposed to be the mutual deterrence thing. But when they have conversations like the U.S. and Russia have enough nuclear weapons to kill the planet over like 100 times over, kind of thing. It's like, what does that even mean? Like, how does a country even start down that path with like some diabolical just type of craziness? I don't care if it's like nowadays or if it's like it's in the '60s or '50s or whatever. It was crazy. It's just madness. Like, I don't know. And for them, so I say I like to say for politicians and presidents and stuff like that to throw it around like throw it around like almost in light conversation or as a threat kind of thing. It's like it's bananas to me.
Yo, Mike.
Mm.
Yo, you and Dev. I think Dev, are you gonna have a brother come? Okay, yeah. You got a brother coming on right now that's gonna have a discussion. Dev can give you a background for a minute. I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, I gotta get ready to be out to go take care of this work real quick. So I'll try to switch it to my phone because I'm actually listening on the computer right here. So I'll try to switch it to my phone and keep listening. But I gotta go take care of this stuff, man.
All
All
right,
right, all right, fellas.
All right.
there's some feedback coming in from somewhere.
Yeah.
So all right. I don't know if that's you, Charles. I'm just gonna mute you for a
Kev, what's going on?
Hey guys, how y'all doing tonight?
Hey, all right, all right.
Welcome back.
Well, thank you. Glad to be back.
You, you either have something up turned up on your side, or that you might have to turn down. But because we're
Yeah,
getting,
the second monitor on or something like that. Also,
do you have two things up? Okay.
yeah, that happens all
Is
the
that
time.
better?
Oh yeah, that's way better. Can you hear us?
Okay.
Yeah, usually Charles does that for us. With this left, that's usually so
Technology is not
everybody
my
forward
thing
and
at times.
Well, welcome, man. We brought you on, sort of hang out with us for a little bit. Sometimes when you come before, it's been for political things, with your political expertise, and you can definitely let people know who you are. And I don't know, I can't remember the stuff, all of the stuff that you do.
I
But
don't either.
tell them, we'll probably segue in a few minutes
Okay.
into this discussion about Biden and that guy. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I mean Trump, whatever they call him. um, but go and introduce yourself real quick, man. Tell everybody what you do as far as
Okay. My name is Kevin Williams. I'm a returning guest to this
absolutely.
to this show. It's been a few months, maybe a year, maybe. But anyway, glad to be back. Um, I've had a number of years in doing some volunteer work with the local governments here in North Carolina and Greensboro as well. And basically, I'm just like an info snob. Basically, I love information, and so it's funny or it's interesting that you all have this show that keep things real, that are much different from what you may hear on mainstream media, and this is needed. And it's not roughly a biased opinion that in my mind that you all communicate. It's just that, hey, this is what I'm thinking. I'm not trying to persuade you. You're basically saying go read for yourself.
Right.
And this platform you all have created is tremendous in that.
Wow. Thanks, God.
Thanks. Thanks.
Thank you. You know the history of how we got started, right? I always tell it. A lot of people know.
Yeah, I vaguely remember.
I'll say it just in case anybody forgot. Mike one day reached out to Charles and me and was like, you know, we should just basically go live and just chop it up. It was during
Hmm.
the pandemic, and that's what birthed this thing. So a lot of the times, what people are seeing is us sort of transforming and growing. Because it was
Hmm.
just some guys, and the first show actually we had another gentleman up there, and we were supposed to just have just random people chime in from time to time, just chop it up.
Hmm.
So just to hear you say that, that means a lot. Some of the comments that come to us are people want us to expand it. They want us to really just go hard at it. You know what I mean? Because they
Yeah,
feel, to your point, seeing melanated or black men just have intelligent conversation, honest conversations. It's refreshing. You know, and so yeah. So
Yeah, a
good
large
night.
part of it was just to add to what Deb was saying. Like a large part was, the questions we've been asking each other, like throughout, kind of starting on the beginnings of the COVID stuff and everything going on politically, and media seeing like turning to anything in the news media, and it being so polar, and just you turn to one channel, you get one complete perspective. You turn to another channel, it's the entire opposite. It's like, where's the truth lie? Like, you can't even get any idea of like where the truth lies. And so we kind of we I guess we started off too, like kind of tapping into people we knew who knew more than we did, and we had an ongoing conversation amongst ourselves. We always jumped off the we sit on the phone and we had these extended conversations amongst ourselves. So why don't we just do it, do it online and live, and we got a lot of feedback from people who just kind of appreciate it as well. So
okay.
um, to add to that point and kind of segue at the same time, like one of the and I guess what your area of expertise is at is one of the conversations that came up even on the tail end of this, the stuff going on with Ukraine, Russia, economy, and everything. We spent a lot of time last year talking about Trump, and there's people who are fans of Trump, and the people who are not. It's almost as divisive as the vaccine and COVID and everything like that, if not more. So there, a ton of people thought, as abrasive as he was, it was, he's just saying exactly what he feels. It's kind of good for the world and everything. And then there's that other side who just thinks he's a madman. And then there were those who kind of saw the Democratic side as the Democrats came up with some absurd amount of people who were running. It was like 10 or 15 or whatever, and it seemed like there wasn't a choice of anybody in the bunch. And Biden took the lead. Biden being what do you call it, a season, what's the word you use, a long term kind of up what do you call it, whatever politician, a career politician.
Hmm.
And you know is he going to make any type of change, or is he just going to kind of just dig us deeper? And I think for a lot of people who supported him, and I don't know if you actually say supported him or voted for him just to oppose Trump, kind of sitting there scratching their heads, like what the hell happened with this? Is communication. Some of the things that I've seen even for myself has been, even for as bad as Trump was, he spent like every minute of every day, every waking day, like communicating something, like good or bad. If the economy was tanking a little bit, he got on Twitter, and he was on TV, and he's saying, "Oh, I've done this and this for business, and good or bad, it may have affected the economy, and put a little energy to it." Or if something crazy was going on with another country, he spent 99% of his time doing that. Or 2 o'clock in the morning, he's tweeting something. But and the funny thing is, whether it's Biden or it's Kamala Harris, for a lot of people, they're like missing in action on anything. It's funny. I just heard on with his his address just the other day, I remember hearing him mention that he passed 80 different bills on certain things. And I just thought to myself, I said, if he passed 80 bills, I said, there's probably like, there's not a person who you're giving a speech out to not right now who's even knows what any one of those things are. And, so that was some of my thought process, just what's going on.
Mhm.
I don't know what your thoughts are with anything that's going on over the past several months or since he's come into office. And so, so the main thing was, or the topic was, is Biden a bigger threat to anything that's going on now than Trump is or has been? Is his way of is his approach to even international issues more of a danger? You know what I mean? Just so
Well, a large portion of the American public, whether you're a politician or in government, whatever, are war hawks. Okay, there's a over the years there's a big industry just dealing with war or going to war, whether it's aerospace, where it's manufacturing, you name it. And any given chance that there's a way to get that equipment to be used and destroyed, that there are some people just want to do it. There are some people who just say, guess what? I'm tough. I want to be tough on crime. How do you be, you know, what's one way to be tough on crime? Well, I need a gun. I need to be aggressive in any and every aspect. The way that Biden is governing compared to Trump is this: people have to realize that Trump or 45 was a great manipulator of the media because he banked on people not reading.
hmm.
That was his number one tool. You know, growing up that once you look out outside, you see that the sky is blue. But Trump will come on and say, "Guess what? The sky is green," and you got 75 million people thinking, "You know what? He's right. The sky is green," knowing good well what you've been seeing for the last 50 years, the color's blue. And so the way Biden is going about his business is this. I think Biden has learned over the years that you cannot really put troops on the ground for any really foreign conflict for a long period of time. There were lessons that were not learned when Russia first invaded Afghanistan back in 1980, where they tried to occupy Afghanistan. We did the same thing in 2000, basically, and tried to occupy Afghanistan for roughly 20 years. Nothing that did not work. So the way Biden may see things now, since he's been associated with Washington D.C. ever since 1976, maybe 74, maybe, is that um, let's try something different. And this is from the doctrine from Obama's playbook. Obama was a big guy, was a big on let's get everybody together and let's hash it out. Let's use diplomacy instead of first aggression by putting troops on the ground. And Biden has, for 8 years, Biden was influenced by that, and he saw how that worked. Um, prime example was when 9/11 occurred back in 2001 with Bush, and this war was started of just trying to find one man, Bin Laden. Okay, wasted a lot of lives, wasted a lot of money, and guess what? The economy kind of tanked during that time as well because you had high gas prices as well during Bush's years. And when Obama came in, he kind of took a different tack, and Biden, was along for the ride as well, and said, "Guess what? Let's just lower the temperature on this search or on this person. We will get them, but we'll get them in due time." So what did they do? What did Obama do and Biden do back in 2008 through 2016? They kind of kept things quiet. you know that American forces were still looking for Bin Laden as much because Bin Laden's name was not in the media as much as it was before. And so when they finally were able to capture Bin Laden, it it was a whole lot of negotiation, a lot of behind the door meetings and back channels to execute a plan. And it did not involve a thousand or 2,000 troops to be on the doorsteps of Bin Laden's residence. It was roughly what? How many were people in on that SEAL team? Around about
12,
10 people.
12, 10.
Yeah, it was a small unit that
It
got him.
was two little planes in there. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a very small number of people, but that whole experience, kind of allowed Biden to rethink how American foreign policy should be done or should be doing going forward. Um, in relation to answering to Putin's aggression in Ukraine, um, Putin is he's an old KGB agent. Okay, he's used to Cold Wars. But if you look at Russia's and where Ukraine is positioned, um, Russia does not have a large coastline where they can build a warm water ports for their trade. Because if you remember back in 2014 when the Russia invaded Crimea, they invaded Ukraine because Crimea was part of Ukraine, and Crimea sits right there in the Black Sea. So that's a warm weather port for Russia to get their goods out to the world. Because if Russia does not have a warm water port, you gotta go to the Arctic Circle, or you gotta go above Korea and Japan to be able to ship product out, and that would add to the cost of their manufacture or their tax against their GDP. So the aggression for what Russia's doing right now with Ukraine is this: is that they're trying to broaden that coastline, that warm water coastline, to increase their trade because the only thing that Russia can really make money on right now is natural gas. And that pipeline that all these European countries buy into to Russia to get natural gas to stay warm during the winter months.
It's
So
one of the
that
questions I was gonna ask. I was gonna say, what the hell does Russia even trade with? Like, you don't hear anything other than like oil or natural gas. Like
it's
last time I've never seen like a Russian product on the shelves of anything in the
Wheat?
U.S. Or huh?
Is wheat one of those things?
yeah,
I have.
wheat and barley, something like
Oh,
that. Yeah,
yeah.
but natural gas is their main commodity, and they make their money on those European countries, whether it's Romania, Belarus, Germany, Poland. The whole block of Europe is reliant on Russian natural gas because of the pipelines. So if you look at the map of where Ukraine and Russia sit, if Russia happens to take over Ukraine, that gives them more access to a warm water coastline to build ports, and you just across the Black Sea from the Middle East, from Turkey, from Syria, and all that. And so you that's the strategy that Putin is probably banking on, is that if I could pull this off, I could expand my products into the global market.
I have a quick question, and you both can. I don't know if you want to take a stab at this. I was almost going to ask a direct political question, but maybe it's a little easy to ask it this way. My question was: Is do you think, or rather, what grade would you give Biden in his performance as an effective president right now? I don't. You don't have to make a comparison to Trump or anything like that. But what grade? Because I look at it. I'd give him like a very low grade. Like mine, I don't even know. I'd probably like a D minus or something personal myself. Like what grade do you think you would give him as far as his effectiveness as overall? And if you want to specify in the area or whatever, like feel free. But that's one of my questions.
far as effectiveness, I think he's like a C, maybe a B minus, because if you look at his the accomplishments that he's achieved in the last in the what in 2 years roughly, or really 1 year and some change of his administration, uh, that infrastructure bill is tremendous. Uh, Being able to tie into today's and tomorrow's technology, especially with increasing broadband access to your people in rural areas and tribal lands, is tremendous, because what this pandemic has showed us that there is a need for to have an option to educate. There needs to be an option for rural communities to be able to produce what they grow on their land. Because for a number of decades, farmers have had a quota of how much product they can produce on their lands. And so when you increase, for example, you increase broadband access, it allows those family farms to be able to market and basically sell directly to the consumer their product that their farm produces, whether it's organic, whether it's milk, cheese, your staples, butter, instead of going to Harris Teeter or Kroger or your big Bam box or even Whole Foods, you know, um, because I think one of the biggest cons in American society is the organic certified label
Well,
on
that's
food.
horrible to hear. Why do you say that?
Because if you look at some of the foods that the government says is organic certified, are really bad for you. Case in point, how can what's that really bad oil that's in everything? Is it cottonseed oil or something like that?
Cottonseed?
Um,
Those are
Um, soybean
oils.
oil.
So soybean, yeah.
Yeah, soybean oil. Yeah. Okay. Soybean oil, your body cannot break it down. It's too
I've
much
heard.
hydrogenated.
mhm.
And so you have products that have been deemed organic certified that contain their oil. Your body can't break down the oil. So how can the term organic certified, which means it should be natural, maybe better for your body, how can certify a product that has that particular element in its construct?
Yeah.
So with Biden and this infrastructure bill, especially with broadband access, if you can increase broadband access in rural areas, that is a game changer, because people will not be so reliant on moving to urban centers. Guess what? I don't have to spend $200,000-300,000 for a two-bedroom house in Greensboro, North Carolina, or Raleigh, North Carolina, and have this astronomical mortgage or rent. I could still stay in the rural areas, maybe 5 acres of land that my family has left me, and still part, be able to enjoy the things that people who live in urban centers enjoy as well.
I've just seen some of and these are some of the simple decisions I've seen that make me take a step back and say, like, what are these politicians thinking? Like, for example, to your point, some of the things from coming from Biden or the White House may be just the fact that we don't know about them. Like I mentioned before, he said he passed like 80 bills over the last 2 years, and I have no clue. Like those aren't things that I've looked up, but I don't know what they were. If I know if Trump would have did it, he would have told us all like 10 times over what each one was. But some of the things like the circulation or the how they decided to pass out or mail basically the COVID test, right? So I found that like so asinine, right? Like I thought like, all right, we're like 2 years into this pandemic. They decide that after holidays and Christmas and New Year's they're gonna send these things out to like how many Americans and stuff like that. And one thing I thought that was actually idiotic too was actually mailing them. I'm like, whatever these things like cost $20 for a pack of two. Now you're gonna put them in the mail and probably add additional like $5 to $7 on top of that, as opposed to just having them, I don't know, working out a deal with CVS and whoever else they did initially. I just thought it just sounded like another waste of money. And then the other thing I saw was even the mask thing. Like they went 2 years telling everybody just to wear scarves, the emergency room like small masks, and then 2 years in on COVID, they're like use. Then the announcement came out from the CDC and the White House. So, oh, you really should be using the KN95s or the N95s. And then as part of his energy bill, I think that he's doing like a huge rollout of electrical like charging stations, I guess, across the U.S. And even that, I thought, now I could be wrong on this, but I was even thinking about those to a certain extent. This is just my own information that I've looked up, like are kind of like obsolete because you not obsolete, but you look at regular charging stations that have plug-in type of thing, and it takes whatever period of time that it takes to charge an electric vehicle. Whereas several years ago, Tesla already started looking into being able to drop an entire battery out of the car and change it within 60 seconds so that you're not sitting like waiting for an hour to charge up a car. And I think by the time they build all these electrical stations across the U.S., it's going to be like so outdated. Just things like that. Just some of the thought processes. Those are just some things that came across in my mind. So I just don't. I
Well,
don't know. Either he's coming up with things, or his team or the camp is coming up with great ideas, and they're not disseminating the information right, or they are what I think they are, and a lot of just I
Well,
don't
it's a little different because here the population in the United States is shifting. Okay, the most dominant generation right now are the millennials. Was it Gen Ys? Uh, Baby boomers and Gen Ys are the biggest generations in American history, and your Gen Ys and millennials are the more prevalent members of the labor force right now in the United States. The baby boomers are getting towards retirement age. They're phasing out of the labor pool. So the messaging has to be focused or directed towards who who are the eligible members in the labor force as we speak. It's the millennials. It's some of the Gen Z people are coming up age. You look at a generation that's roughly around about what 20 years or 25 years apart, basically. So millennials are what they're about 30 years old, maybe early 30s. Guess what? They're buying the homes, they're buying the cars. So the White House has to listen to those producers. It's just like a rite of passage.
know.
And the younger generation are into uh, reducing the carbon emission or your carbon footprint. How do you do it? I might have to ride an electric car. I may have to ride the bus that is electric now because because there's a sense of responsibility from the millennial generation, Gen Z generation. Say, what am I doing to make an impact on society? And that's the messaging. Even Fidelity, one of your biggest investment houses, have funds that are geared towards environmental, social justice, and government initiatives. Uh, uh, you know, those funds are vested or consist of companies who made a commitment to that messaging. It's just the way it just keeping up with the sign of times.
Mhm.
oh,
Oh, further.
yeah. I'm curious to anybody that's watching if you feel as though Biden is more dangerous than Trump. And so, definitely put your comments below. And I don't even know how to answer that question. I don't particularly care for what Biden and Kamala have done as far as handling some things. I guess I got to learn a little bit more about what they have been doing. But as far as the word dangerous, to the best of my knowledge, I can't think of anybody that's been beat up at any of the rallies. These rallies were lately sort of, you know, messed up in the streets and punched in the face and stuff like that. And all that had happened under the last administration. So maybe it is happening. I haven't seen or heard of it at
Hmm.
this point. And I do know that when that other dude was in office, in my opinion, the climate was polarized, and it was a little bit more dangerous overall as far as like somebody looks like me. That's just how I felt. But then there was also incidents because of his wording and how he would say things to his base. People were getting physically hurt. And I'm not going to talk about the black woman that went to one of his rallies and they basically manhandled her all the way out. I'm not going to talk about what happened in Fayetteville when the dude was just walking out. He got punched in his face. And then he went and shook the homie's hand a few weeks later. You can't punch me in the face and shake my hands like that. I'm sorry. But um,
True.
so depending on how we see dangerous,
Hmm.
in that word, I would definitely say at this point, from the description of what I think dangerous is, Biden, he's not as dangerous, but he's also not as polarized. So I guess I got a little bit more to learn, but I just wanted to say that. So if anybody commented below, we definitely want to see.
I think the people I hear comment on whether he's dangerous, they put it in his actually in his they tie it to his inaction or his lack of action, inaction, bad policy, like not the type of dangerous you're saying like Trump saying someone knock that guy out if he acts up in a rally kind of thing. Like that's what I hear people talking.
No, yeah, that definitely. I thought about it, and when Kevin was talking a little while ago, the only thing I was thinking is that I know a lot of people who lost their jobs, and a lot of people who were forced to take a shot they didn't want to take under what homie was doing, and he was lying to the people no different than Trump had been lying. The way he was putting those mandates out, those mandates weren't legal. They weren't allowed to stand, and a lot of companies was just jumping in and just trying to operate under the guise of losing funding or losing control. And I know a lot of people who didn't want to take that shot. They took the shot, and I'm not getting into the whole back and forth about it or whatever. Because that's a very uh, it causes a lot of problems sometimes. When people start talking, well, in the past about the shot. Now all of a sudden, you don't have to wear a mask. You don't have to get a shot. Just go to work. Matter of fact, for all intents and purposes, if from what I'm seeing from him, it's like the pandemic never happened. And to me, it's no different than last July 4th, not July 4th, it just passed, but the year before, I believe it was. Yeah, when he was like, "Oh, we're going to try to have everything open by July 4th," and then there was surges all around the country because of the way he was trying to open things too fast. So now they're telling everybody, you don't have to wear a mask. And I read what Tempest wrote earlier about you don't have to wear masks at all. And to me, and it's been said that that has nothing to do with anything other than the voting. Right now, people are getting ready to start voting again. They're ramping up for that, and you know, so in that light, to your point, I mean, maybe he is, but I mean, but is Trump any different? Because when it first happened, Trump told people that it was going to go away in 2 weeks,
Hmm.
and and what he was pretty much on it like what virus? He was also on it like I'm not going to take the shot, and he went and took the shot. So I mean, if we're going to look at it from that angle, there was a lot of irresponsibility on his part, and there was a lot of lies on his part. And then earlier, when one of the things that went up was that Trump might be indirectly responsible for what we're seeing with Russia. What if it turns out, and I say what if, So, that, you know, homie did have some ties over there and gave up some secrets from over here. Might have gave up some stuff that, maybe they had something on him or whatever. And then we find that out 10, 15 years from now. I mean, by then, I'll be pushing, I'm pushing 60, 70 years old. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
As far as that. And then it's like, oh, it's too late. And then they do it on the little history channel or whatever. And it's like, well, under this administration and what wasn't known. And then you find out that there was a lot of devilish stuff happening. But again, I still would say, even based on that assessment, yeah, your homie was more dangerous. Um, the last president, and I could be wrong, but you know, you know.
Well,
I just saw a comment about somebody saying about, or Tracy actually saying, I thought I saw somewhere that he's running again too. He would, oh, look who
What's up,
joined back with us.
What's your mic, Lieutenant?
I was just saying about Tracy mentioned about him, his thoughts or plans to try to run again. So,
And can you read this comment too? We got up here. I guess it's a
uh,
question for anybody that's here. Welcome back, Charles.
What's up?
How you doing? Yeah, we saw that. I thought I saw it somewhere he's running again too. And then Black Wisdom had asked a question to us. I guess it's in a question form. How would you rate Biden on his social reform achievements or lack thereof? You know, I want to tackle that.
in 5 seconds, I'll just say like I would go with the lack thereof. I mean, if there's anything like I haven't seen it, like I don't know. I haven't dug looking for it, but it's nothing that I've seen. Nothing that I've seen, so I don't know. I don't know if Kevin has some more insight.
um, social reform achievements are they're in order to see their effectiveness. It's really a long term. It's really a long term effect to be able to see its impact because we could say that okay, we could do criminal justice reform, but how does that look? Is it legalizing marijuana to expunging people's records who were initially were incarcerated for selling marijuana now, since marijuana is legal in a lot of states? Okay, how does that look? Or how does I don't know uh, the Voting Rights Act? How does that look? Um, Biden, the White House administration is only uh, say that I support this, but it takes what 200 and some odd people in the House of Representatives and roughly 50 to 51 senators to approve and authorize a voting rights bill into a law. And what needs to occur is that the social reform achievements may not need to come from the White House; it need to come from us, the voter.
And and can you expand on that a little bit more? It means something else.
Yeah, because here's the thing: is this is that every 2 to 4 years we send people to Washington D.C. to be our voice. What's happening in our neighborhoods? What's happening in our segment of the population? Right? Those are the people that we send to Washington are actually the ones that we are counting on to carry our voice to make a change if change is sought. And so uh, a lot of times during elections, and yes, I've run a couple of campaigns in the past. It's all about okay, what is the buzzword today to get me there? And there's no accountability and no transparency as well. When people get voted into office and they act somehow, some way they become quiet or they don't know how to build coalitions of consensus because some of the policies or some of the ideas for policies, yeah, they're very partisan. But there's a lot of policies and a lot of ideas for policies and laws are very bipartisan. It's just the way how the verbiage is constructed. And so as a voter, if you're engaged into your community, just take the time out and just take a moment and see what is this bill is really is saying. Yes, a lot of legal type verbiage in it, but it's a lot of and so forth, big notes. Hey, if you don't know the word, get a dictionary. I'm saying
Um,
it just become more astute of what the basic language of the bill is saying.
so I get most of what you're saying there, Kevin, but is that a smooth way of saying that it's not Biden's fault? Like so the only
Well, what?
because I was saying, you know what I would say? I was going to add to that is that like what you would find from almost any politician, any president, that if something does go through, like that's in their favor, they'd be like, it was all me, it's like I made it happen. You know what I mean? If it didn't happen, then you're like, well, you got to make sure your senate, your representatives vote right. So
But that's the thing. Uh, the the person at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue is the biggest cheerleader on American laws and policy there is. If that person is with a particular bill or idea of a bill, he's going to champion it until he sees no path to get passage for that law.
but that's what Biden prides himself on, right? Is his ability to rally up because he's that career politician. He knows the Republicans, he knows the Democrats, he knows how to get that stuff done without like he's not voting on it, but I mean that's what he prided himself on as a senator, I guess, right?
Well, yeah, you're absolutely correct. That's his moniker. But the sign of times have changed from that type of being the great negotiator or the great smoozer, and that's a different generation, a different ideology in both chambers of government now. You look at Joe Manchin of West Virginia. He's going to do everything possible to ensure that coal does not go anywhere except
which is horrible.
uh,
Yeah.
being produced, and he's a registered Democrat. Okay, but anything that goes against coal and West Virginia, I don't care who introduces it or what party it is, he's going to go against it. And also, as one would say, it depends on who's greasing your pockets for reelection. Because as soon as you're elected into the chamber, for the, you're back in reelection mode, literally, to build your voting coffers.
Yeah. So, oh man, all this.
So
I
what
don't
did I miss, man?
know. It was, it wasn't. We didn't have any. It was no heated or tough like debates or anything like that. It's like I don't know.
But what is, he should give his opinion too. Now that you said
It's a
that.
little it's a little depressing, man. It's like without it's the politics side of things and just government and just I mean I don't know. It was really we touched on is Biden a bigger threat than Trump for whatever reasons. I kind of gave my thought as in like Biden always worried me because I always
How are
thought
you? How are you? The first, how are you defining threat? What do you mean by threat?
all right, good question. Um, well, let me think about that. Just if he, I mean, a danger in any sense of the word. Is he a danger like economically for the U.S.? Danger politically and internationally with actual threats with like say Ukraine, Russia, China, Taiwan situation, all that. Is this lack of action? Is not having a good offense being more
But
dangerous
I'm saying
for
how. But you're relating that to. So are you judging his performance, or I thought you was relating it to how you said it was he a bigger threat than Trump? So I thought you was
with
making a
so
comparison.
so Trump, yeah, I guess in a sense. So for a lot of people, Trump was outwardly dangerous. He was dangerous in his words, dangerous in his actions, dangerous in his policy, right? offensive in his policy, dangerous in all of those, right? So there's a ton of people who wanted the opposite of that with Biden, right? Thinking that he'd bring things back to a more kind of stabilized way of doing business, not shooting everything from the hip. But there are a lot of people who feel like through the term that Trump used to use all the time was Biden being weak, right? His lack of action or his persona or his weakness threaten the U.S. by not putting forward a sign a show of strength in any manner that you could put it out there, whether it was defensively or offensively, so just nationwide security. And then you have that impact on everything financially, domestically, socially, just all, everything across the board. So when I say a threat, if it's anything that threatens you financially, socially, physically, was is he a bigger threat than Trump? Again, Trump's was very obvious in the way he came across with certain things. Biden is more, he doesn't communicate as much. He's not out there tweeting, sending his message. He's doing some behind things, but somehow, it's almost, even for me, to be honest, like the lack of information sometimes makes me worry. Like people always like Trump because, oh, at least I know where he stands. At least I know what he's doing. It's like that threat that you can see right in front of you. It's the person you don't hear is kind of quiet off to the side. You think sometimes, oh, I got to worry about. Biden kind of comes across as that guy sometimes. So did I answer it all, or did I go around it too much? You think I went around it too? I mean, I thought I answered it.
I didn't say you didn't answer.
I mean, you implied it. I think physically, whether it's like the international domestic stuff, if he's not forceful enough, is he a threat with in our situation with Russia? Like physically against with our military, with our citizens, is he a threat with our economy?
What is the consensus of what
what you still saying? What a threat is?
No,
Something
what is
that's
the
gonna affect you
consensus?
negatively. Something that's gonna.
No, I'm saying what is the consensus of like when you saying like weak towards Russia or whatever and different stuff like that. I said what is the consensus they felt should be America's role in that?
I guess it's just a contrast against. Well, I guess when comparing Biden against Trump, I guess it's the contrast on how the situation was handled. You know what I mean?
How what was handled though? Putin
How say
invading
Trump
Ukraine?
handled these issues versus the way that Biden handled the issues. All right, maybe I should go with a different question. One of the other questions I asked is how would you rate Biden's effectiveness as a president, like on a ABC level? And now you're gonna say define effectiveness? What are you gonna say?
No. I understand that.
All right, so let's start with that one. Let's kind of take that one easy and let you
You freezing. You
Again, I think we gotta wind down at some point, but I'll let Dab will kind of call that or whatever. But go ahead, that's fine. That's what I put up there.
I don't got the hold on 1 second, please.
What? I built up all of that for a pause.
Bluetooth into my ear from here to the mic.
We can hear you if that helps.
Can you hear me? No, I can hear you. No, yeah. So what would you asked me whether I feel about his effectiveness?
How? Yes. Oh wait. Before you even answer that way, I see from G Rocky. He said he had a question. He says, "How was Trump weak?" Some people. I didn't say weak. I said we were comparing whether he's a danger. Go ahead.
No, I think was how Trump kept saying Biden was weak, not that Trump
Oh,
was
right.
weak.
That's it. But yeah, that's one of the things. Biden was weak.
I don't know. I mean, how you would rate the performance so far, as far as
How you would rate?
well, I think that a lot of the hang up is certain bills, the police reform bill. I mean, they finally passed the federal anti-lynching joint, but I mean, that really didn't matter to me because it's already illegal to hang people from trees. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so I guess there was some type of significance with the bill as far as making lynching like a hate crime and a whatchamacallit. But I mean, like, it was already against federal law to hang a person from the tree. At the very minimum, that's murder. You know what I'm saying? But so but when you look at the police reform bills and certain bills like that, and then if you compare it to like the Asian bill and things like that, yeah, it seems like nothing's been done for us specifically. If that's what if you're looking at it from that perspective, if you're looking at it from the perspective of, excuse me, what, handling the pandemic and the information about that, or you're looking at it from a perspective of, that American Rescue Plan that,
It's the
you
perspective
know,
you're looking at it from. Come on, now you're BSing around the answer, man. What's your rating?
nah, I'm
Come on.
saying because it depends. Like in some areas, it's like a mixed grade. I mean, I don't know. It also comes down to like, what is my realistic expectation of what any president is going to do solely for me? You know what I'm saying? Whether it's Obama, Trump, or whatever. I mean, because the reality is, Kate, I mean, most of the time, on a day-to-day thing, I don't even think people really feel like, I think that's more determining like local elections and different things, who's running your city and stuff like that. But like, yo, who the president of the United States is, really ain't gonna determine the gas prices as much as people might attribute it to, because that it's a figurehead. Like, I think, Kev, what you call them, the greatest cheerleader out there. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So it's just like a figurehead almost. So it's
But
like, how much does your daily life change?
But Charles, let me take 10 seconds just to add to your point. And then go. So a good quote that I heard, I think it was Jeff Bezos said one time. He said, as a president of Amazon, Amazon, right? Is that Google, whatever?
Hmm.
And he said Amazon. He said, as a president, he says, I'm not making 100 different decisions today. He said, if I make two good decisions in a day, he said, I've done a lot of work, right? Because he thinks about the masses that decision makes over, his whole industry and stuff like that. So I would put that same thing on the president, right? So he doesn't have to be doing all the stuff, but the few decisions that he does makes worldwide impact, right? So that's the context I would put that
Yeah, well, but I mean, but that's how much decisions are you attributing solely to him? Like, I mean, if Biden said right now, like, yo, I want to defund the cops, right, which was a cry. If he was like, yo, like what are you gonna do? Executive order it to death? But I mean, as far as like in a democratic society, so to speak, what I mean? It's like, he could come out and say what he want all day long about that. But if that bill don't really work its way through Congress and pass because of whatever type of opposition, whether it's the opposite party, whether it's infighting within the party, whether it was just all bogusness or not, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, he doesn't, like the buck could stop with Jeff Bezos, so to speak. The buck don't really ain't really gonna stop with Biden. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be a process there that, even
in.
if, I mean, yo, you look at with Obama, right?
I
A
think
lot
you
of
I
a
think
lot of
you're doing
people
a
thought that a lot of people was questioning, what did Obama do for black people? You know what I mean? You've heard that talk too, but I'm saying, like, man, he spent a lot of years, what, 6 of his 8 years with a Republican Congress, fighting a lot of stuff he wanted to try to do. So, and I think that's gonna happen anyway. I don't think that's just because he was black or Democrat. I think, that's just how our political parties work. But
but that's all
so it's
baked
like,
into the position.
no, but I'm saying, so maybe the other question would be then, in this first year of presidency, what was your exact expectation? What was the wow shit that you thought that you were gonna see, that you were gonna be like, yo, that's it right there. As it pertains to like us, and I think y'all was talking about social reform. What was the wow social reform you thought you were gonna see before, whether it was Trump, even going back to Obama? What was that like? What you thought you was going to see the police bill pass?
I don't know, man.
What you thought you was going to see reparations pass?
I don't know. All I know is that politicians promise a lot of stuff, and all I know is Kanye was up in the White House with homie, and all I know is a whole bunch of HBCU presidents was up with homie, and that piqued my interest. And homie was
Mhm.
lying through his whole damn presidency. So like, I'm like this, just because I just read what Black Wisdom wrote. Biden is more dangerous because at least we knew what Trump was thinking. As incompetent as he was, we knew it was coming, or what he was trying to accomplish, good or bad. Trump's arrogance and ignorance made him a threat. Biden's evasiveness makes him dangerous. I can't even
That's kind of what I mentioned. Yeah.
say again.
No, I said I kind of. Well, I didn't say that 100% as my opinion, but that's also what I threw out there. I mean, I thought that. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, Tom. That's kind of what I mentioned too.
Oh yeah, I mean, but I don't have a good read on all of the policies and stuff like that. I would have to be online or get some
Yeah.
information on what
Yeah.
Trump has done in his presidency and what's happening currently in this presidency. Time will tell. But again, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, dude was lying so much. It's like, yo, just because somebody, they're boisterous about something and they're loud, if they saying something and they're liars,
You
do we
think
really
Trump's coming back?
hold on? Do we really know what they thinking? I mean, I'm just saying in a practical sense, just because somebody's making all of this noise, but we know they're a liar. We know that this is before he even came into office. Anybody from New York could have told you, homie got some real issues with him. He's a liar.
Mhm.
You
And
think
so,
he's coming back?
who's the
Huh?
question for, bro? Like I'm talking about something completely different. Who's the question for?
No, you when you was talking about Trump.
Do I
So I
think he's
was
coming back?
yeah, I'm saying do you think he's coming back?
I think he's going to try. He's such a narcissist why. And the thing is, people like that, it's just the taste of the power. They want the raw. Wow. He's not concerned about anything with this government.
Yeah.
He's not concerned about anything about y'all or anybody else, even all the people who voted for him. He's not concerned about you. He don't care about you. He don't care. For all his supporters, he don't care about y'all neither. That dude,
Yeah.
I would not doubt he would try, Charles, just to answer your question directly. I think he's going to try. You know, Trump gave you the truth, and none of it's absolutely none of it's good for black, and that's fact. I ain't even mad at that. He still did his truth through lies. So we still got to sift. But I'm not even sifting because I ain't dude. I don't know. But listen, I don't like him. So for all my people who like him, whatever, I don't like him. I didn't like him before he voted in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never made a bone about it. I've been honest. Like I do not trust him. I don't like him. And then when he came in and did what he did, I was like, yeah, right. And everybody's like, oh, he had the rappers with him. So what? So what?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like so what? Like what are we looking at? And I wish I had more information. I wish I was more learned about this. Politics is not really my stronghold. I was somebody that got into politics very late in life because I was one of those who didn't believe in voting and all that other stuff, admittedly, you know. But then once I understood how voting affected me, and I guess somebody was paying taxes and stuff, I started realizing, oh, this is bigger than just the national, it's the local. And then I started learning.
Hmm.
So I don't tell people what to do or whatever. But there's a lot of people who, like me, didn't participate in certain ways. But then those things might affect us, and then we sort of like, what are you going to say? You didn't do nothing. But that's a whole nother discussion. Um, I don't want to be. I don't want my personal feelings to interrupt the facts. And what I mean by that is time is going to tell as far as dude who was in office, if what he did is going to help this world. Time is going to tell what's happening with Biden and Kamala. To Charles's point, like to me, they're all the same. He didn't say that, but I'm saying it. They're all the same. You know what I mean? They're all the same. You know what I mean? What we have to do is what's important. What people are supposed to do collectively to get things passed and done. That's what's important. But I mean, I'm not expecting any miracle from him, from Biden. But I don't
It
know.
almost seems like a conspiracy, man, to get him back in office. Honestly, man, I think I think they might need 4 more years to perfect whatever plan was in place with that, man. And I don't know, man. Like I sometimes I'll be thinking like just some crazy thoughts, I guess, and I'll be thinking like there's a machine and mechanism, man, that got him there the first time and is trying to kind of get him back there. And I mean, the layman may rally around the racial components of it or whatever, man. But I think like I don't even know what it is, man. But I mean, when I just look, I look like this dude was cool with Russia. This Putin, he basically was praising them. Then Putin waits and he invades when Biden is the president, and then with the voting rights, the way they redistricting the voting things, man, the way the last thing we just had with the Biden was giving out crack pipes and that media propaganda, man. I think that
That was crazy.
I think like there's a thing in effect to make you so dissatisfied. I think somebody wrote earlier, disappointed with Democrats in general, not just Biden and Harris, and to keep us away from them polls this time coming up because Trump only lost, man, because that black vote, man, especially black women. You know what I'm saying? And you get them so dis dis dissatisfied. If I get black people dissatisfied enough, so you know what, I'm gonna come out with an article that Biden's giving out crack pipes. That article resonated in black people's mind, like they said Biden was passing out crack. You know what I'm saying? Not the, they pass syringes out to the dope fiends all the time, right? Even though that's not what that said, without getting into all of that. They pass syringes out for the dope fiends all the time. Nobody says nothing. They pass crack pipes out to crackheads. The black community was in an uproar, man. They felt like, damn, what's up with this dude? Like, where's our police bill? Where's our things? But even like with the voting thing, man, you don't see this democratic pushback. That's why I be like, it's like almost one and the same, because you don't see with the Democrats having this majority and the tiebreaker, man. You don't see this like, I'm doing what I want type of attitude. You don't see this pushback and hard going hard for certain things like you would think they would if you finally got the numbers the way you want it. And that's why I think like I think right now, man, the object of the game is to like get black people disenfranchised even more, to make them disinterested in the political thing. We will redistrict Louisiana up in Alabama, man. We're gonna change voting laws and all of that, man. We do not want them at the polls at the next. They don't have to vote for Trump. We don't care if y'all don't vote for Trump, because we know most of y'all ain't gonna vote for Trump. We just don't need y'all at the polls. And the way we're gonna do that is make y'all so aggravated with the Democratic candidates that a lot of people just be like, what's the sense of, and really the only turnout you really had good, like Obama's first term, everybody came out because they wanted to see a black president, right? A lot of people probably didn't even know who Obama really was, but they wanted to see a black president. The second time, you didn't even have the same type of turnout, but then when this Trump thing, his reelection after those 4 years, everybody came out. So I think there's a thing in place, man, to try to kind of bring, if not him back personally, try to bring back that air, bring back that same type of energy, man.
Man,
Damn politics, man.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, federal politics with that.
Michael Kev, y'all got anything on that?
um,
We're winding down, everybody. To set
yeah,
you off. We're
I
gonna be
think I think I think Trump is going to put his name in as long up to the point where he has to file. because right now he could raise money on making appearances and speeches to fill those PACs that feeds into the Trump organization. Once he files, those monies after that point has to be used for an election or his campaign.
Wow.
So he just announced that yeah he's running in 2024 at the CPAC this past weekend. Okay, that's just to me that's just a ploy to say guess what, I need to raise money for my PACs because I know a I got a lot of legal bills I need to pay for.
That's crazy. Can he? So PAC, I don't. PACs.
Political action committees
Hmm.
and
Does he get to keep that money?
yeah he keep the money long as he keep that money long as he does not file to run for president. Once he does
So
that, he has to file for to the election to the to the electors, the government agency that the FEC, Federal Election Committee. Once he does that, any money that's donated to him in that capacity has to be used for a campaign. He cannot redirect that money elsewhere.
You know Trump's got that worked out already. He got that money getting ready to build a mall or a yacht or
Well,
something.
yeah,
Yes.
he has, he has ways, but there's some things that's working against him now. One is that Attorney General in New York, the lady got him for the investigating the Trump organization, and she's talking to everybody. She even got the sons pleading the fifth.
what?
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, that case. You may want to start watching that because it's in the state of New York, and she got Trump, you know, pretty deep. Because if you notice, his accounting firm for the last 10, 12 years, they resigned
Right.
because they said that they were told to cook the books.
Oh man.
Say that last part again. They resigned. What you said?
Yeah, his accounting firm just resigned, just dropped Trump as a client because basically said that what what they were instructed to do for the last 10 to 12 years was to overvaluate what his worth. So basically, to cook the books.
I heard that. I mean that was put out in the news, but I thought like, what kind of nonsense is that? Like you can't. Like first of all, I was trying to understand what that even meant. Them dropping him as a client because if there's any auditing on there, like okay, Trump can be the client, but they're the one that did the record keeping, right? So there's no like you're not alleviating yourself or any burden related to that, right?
Well, what you do is you reduce the collateral damage because as a accounting firm, there's certain fiduciary responsibilities that you have to adhere to, and if you don't, you come against the federal laws that regulate that industry.
I just thought that my first thought was all right. They dropped him as a client. That doesn't rid them of any of that. It's like it's I don't know. I guess we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, but just when you get a chance, just take a look at that case that in that up in the state of New York with the Trump organization because there's gonna be a lot of fallout from that particular investigation.
So just in closing, gentlemen, and everybody just tallying one more time. Do you think Biden's more dangerous than Trump, including you, Charles? Just based on whatever that means. Do you think that Biden is more dangerous than Trump? It's just yes or
Charles never answered that question.
Nah.
no. I gotta ask.
Mm-mm.
Do you think you don't think he is?
Nah. Not. Uh.
What the hell kind of answer was that? Not,
Well, I mean, we ain't going back into elaborate answers again if we wind it
No,
down.
No, I think
You
if you
know,
want to say
yeah,
it
just
now,
a short answer.
that's fine. It just sounded fun.
I'm gonna do like Mike. I'm gonna set the rules for this last one.
Yeah.
Yes or no? Do you think
Ooh.
it's more dangerous than Trump? Yes or no?
Nah.
Wait, I think I need to be a third with explanation because yes and no, because that even I would probably want to have an explanation there. So I
You
would.
can have the explanation, but give the answer first.
All right.
So
All right.
so
So
Paul said
you go,
wow.
Charles. You go.
So that's still because you see he's thinking. That's the thing. So he's not gonna say
Well,
no.
I think I don't think so, man. I think Trump is less is harder to trust. Now that doesn't make Biden trustworthy. I'm just saying I think that Trump is more corrupt. So I think that his corruptness would probably lead to, like the difference is like you look at like you saying with Biden, like, oh, you ain't getting no bills passed. Like Trump the type that'll pass a bill just because there's some other corrupt shit going on. Be like, oh, let them get that bill. They crying about this damn police bill. Give them that goddamn bill, man, so I could get back to this over here. That's why I think he more dangerous, man, in layman's terms. You know what I'm saying?
Mike.
Ah, damn. Why I got to be second? All right.
Well, because we have a guest on.
All right. Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Do I think he's more? Okay. So my answer would be no, but with a big but. Not with a big but. That sounds funny. But no, but I think he can still be dangerous overall. And my answer is why? Because for a number of different reasons. So one, I think he can go whichever direction the wind would blow, right? Two, and I think that's always kind of been his nature. Um, two, I think he's too mechanical in the way he processes things. Like it's just I think he'll take a problem and he'll just sign it by he'll solve it by taking step A, B, C, D, and it seems like I don't know. It seems like there's almost no true independent thought behind it. It's like it's something done almost out of routine or something like that. It's robotic. It's like, and I think that could be dangerous. Like I think Obama was always a thinker, right? Like regardless, you can always tell if it was one question they were asking him in a conference, like he put thought into it. You have Biden put thought into something in a press conference or something, like he'll get stuck on the teleprompter. You know what I mean? Like because that's what he's just gonna follow. And it's like what's the right answer? I don't know. Like and the buzzer comes, so I think that could be dangerous. Like that's my answer.
I'm gonna make my answer real quick. I believe Trump.
This is it right here.
I just believe Trump's rhetoric is what makes him more dangerous. I just think he's more dangerous, and I still don't know what to believe because all that stuff that we think he was telling us, we'll see if he was telling everybody the truth and he was letting us know how he really feels and all that other stuff. We're gonna see. So Kev,
Yes.
last comment of the night outside of whoever's chiming in on the bottom. Do you think Biden is more dangerous than Trump?
The answer is no. Trump, if one knows how to manipulate the media, that person is dangerous. Trump knows how to manipulate the media to the nth degree because you need a vehicle to put out your message, regardless what the message is. If you can control that, you could you have a tendency to control people's minds.
Closing us out, Mike.
And that's the tempest point. That's why I keep putting this back up. That
What was that?
rhetoric, because that no, where she was saying that rhetoric is what makes you dangerous because once all that political infighting stop or it can continue. It doesn't even have to stop. It's not even what's in the chambers or what's getting passed or not getting passed. The thing that we really felt most with Trump, that we felt like as black men and black people in this country, you didn't feel the policies. I mean, you could probably sit here forever and ask people like, what are 7 Trump policies that you felt were horrible, or what was 7 Trump policies you felt were great? You probably, that conversation is going to always revert back to how people felt in our society, with overt racism seemed to be coming alive again. When you really think about Trump presidency, a lot of people's issues doesn't even really point to anything political as much as it points to the rhetoric, and how that rhetoric excited and incited the regular everyday person that you work with, that you were friends with on social media. That's what made the thing so dangerous, is because you started creating a society that felt like, yo, I'm going to get my guns and I'm going to do this, and like, yo, we getting ready to go to war.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I think that comment hit it right on. That rhetoric, it emboldened a lot of people, man. It made the country feel less safe, man. Made you feel like racism and Jim Crow was right back at your door, and sometimes, you know what I mean?
I do. Because that's when you were going, that's partly what I said. You know?
Definitely.
I think
Mike,
that answers it. Everybody answered the question, although it took Charles a while.
What? Well, because I wasn't gonna expand. I was just gonna say no.
Yeah,
You brought
before
it out of me.
he was like, "Nah, it could be this. Depends on what kind of how you want to evaluate the hypothesis of the
yeah.
story."
Yeah, well, it always depends on how you're looking at it. Perspective is everything. You know what I'm saying? That's why they say, some people see the jar half empty, some people see it half full. Even though it's always half full, it can never be half empty. Half a zero is zero. So the jar is never half empty. It's always half full.
Uh, uh, all right, I understand that. All right, so
I see
uh,
you next week, man, when you think about it.
yeah, we wanted. I was trying to process that for a minute. So you're saying you can't have like a partial nothing. So yeah, what like
This is crazy, man.
you can't have some of nothing. So it's either some of something that's full or not.
Can't have half of
Okay,
nothing. I
everybody,
already
it
got
was great,
nothing.
great chatting. Kevin, thanks for coming on. We'll see
Thanks,
you.
guys. And hey, guys, keep up the good work. Y'all doing some tremendous work, and keep pushing, encouraging people to read.
Appreciate
Yo,
it.
reading is fundamental, like that commercial
Oh,
said, man.
stop. Sorry.
Yo,
It is.
About to have a Schoolhouse Rock commercial or something. All right, everybody.
look,
Thanks for chiming in.
Thanks, guys.
see, even though these are the backs of them, this is what I'm gonna read. Look into tonight. This is a girl. She goes scuba diving for slave ships,
Oh,
right? And this is anybody that know I'm a big fan of Vanity Fair. Do not just look at the celebrity on the covers. They got very, very good articles. If you want to read a magazine, or go online and read some Vanity Fair or National Geographic, they're good.
Stop. I remember that before. Something about Vanity Fair, but all right, I'm gonna come back to that next week. I don't know what that's about, but I'm guessing it's all right. You got another
All
one?
we could even do. This is a 1,000-word jigsaw puzzle. Uh, uh, I like mind things, man. Yeah, you know what? I just started playing Wordle.
I never read it, had it. I've been making time. It's time
Yeah.
for this. It's time.
Oh wait, Tempest just said they said the same thing about Playboy. So I think by that she meant like you're looking at the articles, but you really still looking at the pictures.
And this-
Nah, Tempest, go ahead and pick up a Vanity Fair, man. Very good articles in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to add my 2 cents, man, because I've been trying to read the way I used to, but my brain just doesn't function on the levels it used to. And now I have to actually make time and sit down before
Yeah.
you see me walking and reading, and before there was all this technology. And this one right here is like important to me. This one right here is important. You know, I'm very familiar with it, but I'm really going to study it. You know what I mean? So that's about it.
Thanks again for the recent comments that's coming in. Black Wisdom, Tempest, G Rocky, Paul, who else? Paul
Tracy,
and everyone else, Tracy, and everybody else who joined in. So thanks.
Andre earlier.
Oh yeah, Andre posted a bunch.
Andre Leon Gray.
Andre Leon. Everybody joined in.
Was here. Daru was here. John was here. Kristen was here. Regine was here. And you know, Regine, Tracy, Tempest, they're like day one. Like the first time we came on, they were like right there with us. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So when they send a message to us, Paul was early, but he started chiming in after I started cursing too much. He was like, "Yo, cuz, like, stop it." You know? So he probably has some words for you too, Charles, because I don't think I've ever heard Mike ever even say "damn" on the show, ever. Like he doesn't even say "damn," you know.
Yeah. I curse a lot though. I don't curse a lot though, do I?
No, not anymore. But when we first got going, we were hard. Listen, we had some horrible moments, man. My cousin said he was about to pray. He's like, "Yo, I got to get it right." You know, it's like, "Oh, my bad, cuz."
My mother watches it sometimes, so
yeah. My bad. I'm gonna start bad.
Let's get that damn theme song going on. That's all.
Let me get this
outro music.
And then,
all right, fellas, yo, peace. Maintain your existence upon this planet they call Earth, because the black man is the true and living. Don't get it twisted.
I'm not mad at that.
Yeah.
And whenever you're ready, Dev.
Well, I'm trying to find this last comment right there. It's gone. Somebody put it up. And we up out of here. Peace.
Have a good one, guys.